Hello, my name is Miss Emily and welcome to the Onslow County Museum. Today we're going to be talking about stars and constellations, and then I'll be giving you some tips and tricks to help make our constellation Becraft. So what is a star? A star, in its most simplest definition, is a great huge ball of gas. And in the core, the center of the star, that gas is called hydrogen. Now when pressure comes and squeezes onto that core, that hydrogen gas is going to change in a different type of gas called helium. That is what emits the light from the star. So when we are looking up into the night sky and we are viewing the stars, we see that shine, we see that light. Well, that's from the hydrogen gas being squeezed and pressurized, and it turns into helium, giving off that glow. Now, some stars can vary in color. So again, if we're looking into the sky and we see the stars, some stars may appear bluer or redder. And that variation of color is dependent upon their temperature. So if a star is bluer in color, that means it's actually running very, very hot. So the core, that middle part of the star, is very hot versus a star that's redder in color. So if a star is redder, the temperature, that core of the star, is actually cooler. It's kind of the opposite of us when we think about what is hot or what is cold. Usually for us, red is hot, blue is cold, but for stars, it's the opposite. So a star's lifespan can be billions of years. So after shining for billions of years, the star will eventually fade. And how that happens is going back to the hydrogen, the core of the star. So it's going to use up all of the hydrogen. And when that happens, it's going to slowly start to cool. And eventually that shine that may have been so bright for us looking at it into the sky, it will eventually start to get dimmer, it'll fade, and eventually that star will ultimately die. Now, large stars, instead of kind of fading off like our small or medium to size stars, the larger stars are going to undergo an explosion, and that explosion is what we call a supernova. So NASA has gotten great pictures of a supernova. It looks like an explosion of color in the sky, and that's from the large stars ultimately dying and undergoing that supernova, that explosion. So when we look up into the night sky, we usually don't just see one star. We see clusters all over the sky are stars. And these stars, these clusters of stars or group of stars, we can form and call them constellations. Now, constellations usually are made up of the most notable or brightest stars. And these constellations, using these stars, create patterns or pictures. And most of constellations are just imaginary things. They were looked at by early astronomers looking up into the night sky, and they see these bright stars and they end up creating pictures. So some of the most notable constellations are like Leo the Lion, or Orion the Hunter, or even Pegasus the Flying Horse. These are all constellations that these early astronomers helped kind of create using those brightest stars in the night sky. So now that we've learned a little bit about stars and constellations, let's make our own constellation Becraft. In order to create our constellation Becraft, here are some items that you will need. So you're going to need your constellation sheet. You'll need 13 beads and 2 of your pipe cleaners and some scissors. So your first step is to pick out a constellation that you would like to do. So for us today, I decided, well, let's do Pegasus. And on your constellation sheet, I've got your 2 PC, which basically means 2 pipe cleaners. So you'll need 2 pipe cleaners for Pegasus. So what you're going to do is take your first pipe cleaner and you're going to string 7 beads onto your pipe cleaner. That's the tip here. Do that first, and then start to bend your pipe cleaner into the shape of Pegasus. So you want to use one whole pipe cleaner to do this. So after you have shaped it, make sure you bend your edges so that your beads don't fall off. Same thing over here on this side. You want to loop it around. So after you get that done, then we're going to take our other pipe cleaner and cut it in half. Now it doesn't have to exactly be equal. You kind of want one end to be a little bit shorter than the other because Pegasus constellation, one is going to be longer than the other, looking at that image. So after you string on your beads to each leg of Pegasus, again, make sure you loop the edges around your bead so that way none of your beads fall off. After you do that, you're going to attach these two to your big piece, okay? And then when you do that, then you get your full Pegasus constellation. Again, making sure you loop these edges around so that way nothing falls off and you have a complete constellation of Pegasus. Thanks for joining us today for Family Fun Friday. Make sure to tune in next week. Next week's topic is all about the planets. Make sure to check out our website for more virtual programming. Thank you.